Hey everyone, it's Droop, and this is the Droop Show. It's a podcast about everything and nothing, both at the same time. So if you're into amateur haircuts or professional lawn darts, you might hear it here on the Droop Show. What's going on, Greg? How are you?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Good, man. Had a long week, but pretty pumped up about this episode. Got an old friend of yours in, served in the military. His name's Shane Roten. He's an active service member in the Air Force. He's a photographer and owner of a media company, Valhalla Media, and has a degree in nutrition. So y'all check him out on Instagram and TikTok, Shane.Roten. Shane, how are you, man? It's good to have you.
How's it going, fellas?
Good.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I'm excited for this.
Oh, we appreciate it. You know, last week on our podcast, we had a physical trainer on. We got into a little bit of nutrition. So just real quick, we just want to start with that. You know, we talked about the carnivore diet and plant-based and, vegetarian diets. And, what were you think? What's your perspective on it?
Big thing for me is, I'm vegetarian. I've been a vegetarian for probably 9 years now. I get a lot of people asking me, should I become a vegetarian? For me, it's, if you want to do it and it's something that's sustainable, then yes. My biggest thing on people that switch, Cheetos are vegetarian technically, and a lot of bad stuff is it's making that switch and staying healthy and finding inventive ways to get the protein that you need. And I personally don't believe that we're carnivorous. If you look at the way our stomachs are and everything like that, it's a carnivore stomach is basically like a straight line, whereas ours got all these bends to them and stuff because the carnivore basically eats and then it's out of them right away, whereas we don't have that ability. But if that's something that you do and you want to eat meat, I think all to you. I'm not going to force somebody or tell somebody that they shouldn't. But I think different diets definitely have the same end result. You need to get your protein, you need to get your fats or lipids, and you need to get your carbohydrates. And as long as you do it healthy, then you're good.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what we came to the conclusion on last week's show was, really, it just depends on the person. I think that's what we said, just every diet works different for every person. Like, myself, I try to eat mostly vegetarian, but I have no convictions to not eating meat. So if I see a big juicy steak, the vegetarian thing's going out the window, so.
Yeah. For me, I just always seem to have problems kind of processing meat. And it was actually being in the Air Force, we have this thing, it's called alert. And you're stuck on base. And I was eating, fast food meat every single day. And I was on alert for, I want to say it was like 3 to 4 weeks. And about 2 weeks in, I just kept getting sick. Every meal that I ate, I'd almost throw it up. And I had another colleague basically who was a vegetarian. He's like, hey, I'm not telling you to be a vegetarian. He's like, but instead of eating this crap, it's like, why don't you just not eat meat while you're doing this? And I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. So I did it for about a week and just never went back. I never had any interest going back. I felt better, and you'll have some people that eat it and they feel fine. And, they have great energy levels and, they're eating vegetables and fruits and everything with it. And they have no problems. For me, that was the start of it. I just, it's like my body just did not seem to be built to process meat properly. So the transition for me was really easy, whereas a lot of people I've helped out try to make that transition. I give it a month or two, a lot of them go back, although some haven't, but I'd say a good 80% end up go back to eating meat.
Yeah. How is with all the travel that the military does, I'm sure you've been all around the world. I mean, it must be pretty hard does the military have vegetarian options? And we won't stay on this long, but I'm just curious about if, you leave home to go on deployment or whatever, how easy is it to get food that's vegetarian?
Yeah, it's dependent on what you're doing. So if you're deployed, it's very difficult. I mean, you're basically just eating a bunch of eating rice and beans and it sucks. It does. But when we go TDY, which is like a temporary duty location, especially when I was stationed in Europe, we do 30 days, 90 days in Spain or France or Greece. And it's not too hard because we get a per diem, so we get food allowance and we can go off base, and there's options out there. I'd say the deployment was the hardest. When I was on a remote tour in Portugal for a year. That was pretty difficult. They eat a lot of meat there, but we have a commissary where we can buy our own. It was one of those things where when everybody went out, I could never really go with them. There was only 2 restaurants on the island that really had any vegetarian options. So other than that, I spent a year basically, not able to go out. Deployments were probably the hardest. Like going on a deployment and eating rice and just beans constantly was not the funnest. And I still eat eggs, so I had that ability. I'm a vegetarian, so I still got to eat eggs now and then. I don't eat them a whole lot, but
yeah, I like eggs too. What's the favorite place that you've been?
For me personally, and my intention when I retire is to get a modest place out there is southern France. Southern France to me is just, I don't know. I went there. I've been there 3 times. Once was for almost 4 months, and then the other 2 was just for a couple weeks. And that's just everything you need. It's a very relaxed area of France. Sundays, like everything's closed, so it forces you to spend time with friends and family. And like if you live a busy life, you go there. It's just such a relaxing place. So that was probably one of my favorite spots. And I was born and raised in England, so I have a dual nationality. So I have the ability to go live there, and I don't really have to jump through hoops to do that. So I would say definitely southern France for me that's the one.
Yeah, France seems like it would be very easygoing, easy place to live. The scenery seems beautiful. I don't know. I haven't really traveled too much, but it seems like I would definitely want to visit France. Paris, you see that? Yeah, it would be a big culture shock, just the walking places. I think they walk a lot in Paris. So
that's most of Europe for sure.
I'm sure the travel definitely helps out with the photography, being able to shoot the world with your job.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I live in Kansas right now, and it doesn't offer the best landscape photography stuff. But definitely when I do travel, that's when I start to do more landscape. And it's actually the reason I got into photography. I was in Japan. I lived there for 2 years, and there's this thing I call the seawall. And I used to run up and down all the time. And just one day, like the sun was setting a certain way, and I just grabbed my iPhone and clicked a picture, fully intending to send it to like my mom and friends and stuff, and just forgot about it. And about a week later, I'm flicking through my pictures and I see this, and I'm like, wow, that's a good picture. I was like, so I opened it up, and it forced me to basically go get an actual camera. And I just got like a basic entry level camera, and I went out and started taking more pictures and more pictures. That entry level camera basically lasted me 2 weeks, and then I immediately went and got a professional camera, and it was like, this is it for me. It was like an active meditation for me. Every time I was behind that camera taking pictures, I wasn't thinking about bills. I wasn't thinking about bad stuff in life. I just think about that moment. And so that's what it started as, more of a passion, and then kind of drove into a business after I got a lot of requests for me to take pictures of people or products and stuff. So the traveling definitely helps. It does. And it helps you, different landscapes and different people and stuff helps offer like different challenges when it comes to photography. So.
Yeah, for me, I'm one of those people, and I wish I wasn't like this, but I just never think about taking photos. Like I'll walk through something cool and I'll look at it and I'll be like, man, I wish, that's fucking awesome. And then like a day later, I'm telling somebody and I said, fuck, I wish I would have took a picture of it. I carry a phone, but
I was that person. That was me. Like I'm not creative. Like I couldn't even draw a stick figure on a piece of paper. Like I was never an artistic, creative person. I mean, I was the same way as you. And then just that one picture just kind of like inspired me to just give it a shot. And then, now I'm here. I think it's 2 years later, and I'm getting paid to do that, which is mind blowing to me.
Yeah, that's the dream. So, and I've been stalking your social media this week, looking at everything. And I mean, the people you're taking pictures of, I'm just like everybody else. I love looking at pretty people, but the creative photography, man, is insane. Like those pictures you're taking. So like I checked out your Instagram and you see these still photos and you say, man, that's an awesome picture. But when I look at it on TikTok and you actually show like how the picture was taken, it's like, you ever watch one of those magic shows where they show the trick?
Yeah.
I had no idea. Like, I knew there was a lot of work that went into creative photography. You know, like, I know you set up the photo, but I had no idea. This is just an example. You know, the photo that you took where you threw the green ring, that toy ring?
Yeah.
It's like that green donut thing. So that was my picture. Like, that's how I had creative photography picture in my head. It was like, you know, you threw it and you took the photo, but then, and then like I guess you videoed it. I mean, I really don't know, but, and then you pick out a still frame. And then you go over one and you see like that dice picture, the picture where you're rolling the dice, and like everything's still and set up. And like, I had no idea.
It's crazy. And you know, some of it takes a lot, and some of it takes a lot of repeating. I mean, you know, a camera has a certain shutter speed that you can get to, and you know, the high shutter speeds are usually used for sports. You know, like someone's throwing a baseball at 100 miles an hour. You know, the higher your shutter speed is, and you can capture it still. Well, then people started taking that ability and then bringing it over into creative photography. So, you know, if you know, for instance, we do a lot of levitation pictures. So you crank that shutter speed up, you throw something up in the air, and then you capture that, and it looks like it's just hovering and levitating above your hand. But then sometimes that doesn't work out. So then that's when, you know, the fishing wire stuff comes into play.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're hanging, you stage everything, and you take that picture, and you know, some people don't have a clue like how that's done, and they think you took some pictures and brought them over into others and composite them together, when in reality you just kind of edited out some of that fishing wire and just made it look very natural. And to me, that's a lot more fun. I started off shooting with models, and you can be creative to an extent, but it's also, it involves people that, you know, I've had a lot of times people come to me and say, I love the way that you shoot. Can you please shoot me that way? And then I do it, and then I'm sending the picture like, well, I want it to be different this way, and I want, and it just came to the point where it burnt me out so much. You know, like to me, the example is if you go to a tattoo artist that specializes in American traditional, and then you're asking that tattoo artist to do something completely different. Don't go to them and ask them to do something different. And I specialize in certain colors, and then they'd be like, don't use them, and the creative stuff, because it keeps my brain going.
So I was looking at that one picture with the darts, you know, like, and I was just picturing like, you know, you standing behind there with a camera and this guy throwing darts at you, you like dodging darts. Yeah. But no, it was really cool. And the photos are really good. So, I mean, everybody should definitely, if you haven't had a chance to go check them out, everybody should check them out. I mean, it's awesome work, man.
It. Thank you so much.
What do you think it would be hard to take pictures in space or like film in space? Because I heard Tom Cruise and Elon Musk is working with NASA to film a movie in space.
That would be crazy. The light. That would be the biggest problem, is the lighting. I think the biggest thing is having the ability with those big old gloves to operate the equipment, and then trying to get light. But I tell you what, if they're hiring people to go do it, I'll be the first one to jump in a suit and give it a shot. That's for sure. Well, so I have a business with, I don't know if you can see he's behind me working there, my partner Taylor. So I try to shoot every single day. So I'm a firm believer, like if you put in 100 hours on something, you know, you can be pretty good at it. You put in like 1,000, you can be great at it. And you put in, you know, a good 10,000 plus hours into something, and then you're probably going to master it. You can make it a profession. So we try to shoot every day if we can, even if it's just little products. Around my house, I have little stations set up to shoot, you know, different products now and then we'll do the creative stuff a couple times a week. But I try to, if I can, do it every single day, and then edit every single day, and try to learn new ways of editing. Because obviously with color grading, there's so many different places you can go with color grading. So I try to create my own presets. So if it's not every day, it's at least 3 or 4 times a week.
And the editing seems very tedious. I mean, you know, there's a lot of detail that goes into that editing, and I'm sure it's not very easy to learn at first. Or, you know, you get proficient at it, but I'm sure at first a single photo could take a long time to edit.
Yeah, a lot of people say, you know, you learn from your failures, and that's right. probably the truest thing in photo editing. So with colors, I mean, it's got old dials down the side, of Lightroom, for instance, is where I start. I mean, you just take it left and right, each one, until you find what you want, and you're failing, but then at the same time you're bringing it to where it works, and you just go back and forth. And then from there, as I got more advanced, I then send it over to Photoshop and do even more. And I mean, if I want to get really detailed, then it can take a long time, especially if you're removing things from pictures, or you're adding things to pictures. It can take a while, but it's all about just getting it wrong. Taylor was talking about, I send a lot of stuff to him, and he'll send it back and be like, well, no, like these colors are off, or this doesn't make sense. And then you dive back in. It is very detailed. That honestly, I mean, anybody really can take a picture as long as you use autofocus. I mean, it takes, creativity to get the right angle in that, but it's getting it in that post and editing it correctly. And what I see is correct. Some others may not, and that's fine. That's what's great about the creative process.
Right. Yep.
So as far as Valhalla Media, do y'all do photos of models, or do you sell your creative photography? Or?
So Valhalla Media, it's actually is a rebrand for us. So it started off about a year ago. We did Valhalla Productions. So the productions piece is basically your photo and your video. So we go into companies. For instance, we did one for a housing company, and we flew a drone around the house, and we flew it inside the house, and we did like a cinematic tour of the home. And then we can take pictures as well, and we just offer both of those. And so that's the production side of it. Well, when we were doing that for a lot of companies, they're like, well, do you manage social media too? And do you know how to run ads on Facebook and Instagram? So we decided to teach ourselves, and then the production side didn't make sense anymore. It became more about media. Like, we can cover everything. We can be a one-stop shop. So we have Valhalla Productions is still a thing, but that's now underneath Valhalla Media. So I did a shoot yesterday for an influencer. He got an offer to actually be a model for Tinder and some of their ads that are coming out. So I did the photos for him, and then he'll submit them to Tinder and whatever approval process they go through. So we will do influencers, some models if they ask for it, but a lot of it's video for car companies. We've got a new clothing brand that's opening up a store here June 1st. We just did 7 videos for them because they have local companies that are making products. So we went and did, like, wherever they make those products, we went and did the video and photography for them. So we just dabble really in everything when it comes to media. It's time consuming, but it's good to be a one-stop shop, because then we know what content is being put on the ads, instead of like giving our content to an ad company and they screw it up somehow.
Right.
Right.
You can
Yeah.
plan y'all's, the photography around the idea that you have ahead of time and everything else. It's not like you're taking a bunch of photos, then it's going to like a media company who had a completely different idea until they got your photos. And
Exactly.
you didn't hit the marks that they were looking for. Yeah. So I'm sure it's very good to do it all yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. Doing that, it just enables a company to brand themselves, and we have the creative process when it comes to branding. We sit down, have a strategic meeting. How do you want to do this? The color grading for our photos is the same as their videos, and then we push out the ads and manage their social media how they want it. So it's a good fit.